Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari. Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari. Yasodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana. Jamuni Tira Natari. Jamuni Tira Natari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Gopijana Balava Girivanadari. Yasodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Natari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Boom! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Priya Vijayacharya Siddha Shisham Minister Divine Grace Vacharan Bhakti Vedanta Sangha Srila Prabhupada Ki Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mathura Dham Ki Dwarka Dham Ki Navadip Dham Ki Jagannath-puri Dham Ki Jamuna Maya Ki Ganga Maya Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Sambhita Bhakti Vinda Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Sri Sri Radha Giridhari Ki Shri Krishna Sankirtana Jiga Ki Gopremanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. So we need the verse, and we need the lights, and we need a little more volume in this dying mic. So yeah, we need the verse, lights, and some juice. Hey, Bhakti Glenn, where'd Bhakti Glenn go? Oh, can you grab my saffron bag and grab me the Bhagavatam? Oh, there it is. Thanks. Yeah, let's snap on the lights, Bhakti Glenn, and thanks for the volume. Do I need to move where the camera is, or are we okay here?
Fine with me.
And we don't. Where's tapas, the unmanifest voice? So why not all the lights? Are we anti-light? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Svadamo Bhagate Dhammaganadi Bisaha Kalana Sadashamesha Parano Kodadodata Narayan Vaskachandanam Chaivam Narotama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet. Bhagavatam, Mrs. Brinda's son, is arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied with knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of this age of Kali should get light out of this Purana. Before beginning our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our main means of conquest, we should first offer respects to the personality of God Narayan, to the Narayan Rishi, the supreme being, the goddess of Holy Mother Saraswati, the author Srila Vyasadeva, and my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. So we are on, at least by my calculation, the 4th canto, chapter 29, text. Oh, really? Text 8. All right, so be it. Akshani Nashike Karnau Mukam Shishna Gudav Iti Dve Dve Dvarau Bahir Yati Yas Tad Indriya Sangyuta Akshani Nashike Karnau Mukham Sishna Gadaviti Dve Dve Dvarau Bahir Yati Yastad Indriya Samyuta Akshini nashike karnau. Mukham sishna gudaviti. Dve dve daru bahiryati. Yastad indriya samyuta. Akshini nashike karnau. Mukham sishna gudaviti. Dve dve dvaru bahiryati. Yastad indriya samyuta.
Akshini nasike karnau. Mukham shishna gudavati. Dve dvara bahiryati. Yastadindriya samyutah.
Ashike nashike nanau. Mukham shishna gadavitam. Dve dve dvaru gatirati. Yastad indriya samyutaha. Akshini nashike karnau. Mukham sishna gadavitam. Dve dve dvaru bahiryati. Yastad indriya samyutaha. Akshini, 2 eyes. Nashike, 2 nostrils. Karnau, 2 ears. Mukham, mouth. Sishna, genitals. Gadau, and rectum. Iti, thus. Dve dve, 2. Dvarau, gates. Bahi, outside. Yati, goes. Ya, one who. Tat, through the gates. Indriya, by the senses. Samyuta, accompanied. The eyes, nostrils, and ears are pairs of gates situated in one place. The mouth, genitals, and rectum are also different gates. Being placed into a body having these 9 gates, the living entity acts externally in the material world and enjoys sense objects like form and taste. Also you say, the eyes, nostril, and ears are pairs of gates situated in one place. The mouth, genital, and rectum are also different gates. Being placed into a body having these 9 gates, the living entity acts externally in the material world and enjoys sense objects like form and taste. Purport. Not being aware of his spiritual position, the living entity, directed by the mind, goes out through the 9 gates to enjoy the material objects. Because of long association with material objects, he forgets his real spiritual activities and is thus misled. The entire world is going on being misled by so-called leaders like scientists and philosophers who have no knowledge of the spirit soul. Thus, the conditioned soul becomes more and more entangled. Omagena tamarandasya gyanagena salakaya jakshushimadatanggena tasmade shi gurave namaha. So I put this together last night. It's quick, and I'll slide over there in a moment. But I wanted to say something. In the old days, when people used to balance their checkbook, anyone here ever balanced a checkbook? Not so many. And when you got to the end of the thing, and if it didn't add up, what did it mean? It means there's a mistake. There's a miscalculation somewhere. And they give you the steps. Go back and check this, check your deposit amounts, check your addition, check your subtraction, check, you go back and you check every factor. And all it takes is what to make the whole thing off? Does it take many mistakes? One mistake and the whole thing's off. So we have a big facade. It's quite fancy if you think about it. You look at Vedic civilization, primitive. There's no skyscraper buildings. Outside of the king and the deity of the Lord, they had big, beautiful buildings. Everybody else lived quite simply. I mentioned the other day that, when Arjuna got the benediction from Mayadanava, and Mayadanava was going to give him Yantra Veda, the science of all these devices, all these computers and phones and all this digital. What happened? What did Krishna say? He said, oh, no, it'll spoil everything. And Krishna said, this is harsha shoka. It brings equal amounts of happiness and distress. So, it may look primitive, but there's a miscalculation. They've made Prabhupada talks about scientists, philosophers, leaders, very compassionate, how to help the world, well motivated. But all it takes is one miscalculation, and that miscalculation is stated in this verse. That they don't understand that the interaction of the senses with the sense objects guided by the mind has nothing to do with me. It's totally superfluous. I'm the living entity riding within this body. And all this other stuff is going on, but it's got nothing to, it's like oil and water. It's got nothing to do with me, actually. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay? So can I give you this, Jamal? Because I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. And can you move this? Why, thank you. It's a team effort. Now we can hit the lights. Let's see. There you go. After Mukunda carefully got everything going here, I'll lean my cane on it and knock the cord out and it'll all go black. Therefore, these things are called harsha shoka. Now, can I find my laser pointer? Okay. Hey. So, of course, this is from Bhagavad Gita, and this is a foundational statement. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, which we've been talking about, the material body, neither working nor causing to be done, work to be done. So the point is that everybody wants to reside. How do they think you live happily within this city of 9 gates? What did it say in the purport? Prabhupada say, what are they coming in touch with? Form and taste. So Krishna says the interaction of the sense objects with the senses, and we label that happiness. So we want this. There's a common denominator. Are we masochistic? Are we going to grin and bear it and suffer through this world? Is that Krishna consciousness? Like the slaves in the cotton fields singing, when I die, I'm going to go to heaven. So they're just dreaming of the future. So we just dreaming of the future and tolerating the slings and arrows of this life? No, we want to live happily. So, all right, then we have a shared goal. So, and we know this, but the living entity is seated on a machine made of, as if on a machine made of material energy. Because we'll get to it in a second. But this ability to separate. Wait a minute. This is the machine, and I am the driver. If we can do this one simple thing, all of the yammering of the mind and anxiety and fear and dissatisfaction and anger, it all goes out the window. It's gone by one simple thing. Just understanding, just like the bird in the cage, or I'm riding on a machine. I'm different from that. Krishna says in Gita, just some foundational verses in Gita. A person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, and moving about, sleeping and breathing, watching. We're watching the whole, it's all happening, but always knows within himself that actually he does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, and opening and closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. It's just the doors are open and sense stimulation is going through, and ka-ching, ka-ching, the brain says, oh, happiness, oh, distress. But it's got nothing to do with me. Now, what is night for all beings is a time of awakening for the self-controlled. And the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. Now, I looked up the word introspective because this is what we need to be. You know that you ever seen a t-shirt that says there's no fixing stupid? I mean, I don't mean to offend anybody, but you know, you can train someone. People can learn. People can get inspired. They can learn from seeing it. But if you're a bonehead, it's tough. Of course, ultimately there's Krishna and the super soul and the holy name and all of that. But on the material flow of things, if you don't factor in the spiritual elements, you know, if you're not introspective, you're just not going to get it. There's plenty of smart people. I've met them. I'm sure you've met them. That are materially intelligent people, but they just don't get it. They don't just wait a minute. I'm not this body, I'm the soul within. Or wait a minute, it's not all happening by chance, there's a cause. They don't get it. So it requires introspection. So, going to that material source, Oxford Dictionary, here's how it describes, and I like this. Here's inside the head, and see how he's actually looking inside. He's inside. Spection, to see inside. And Oxford describes it, the examination or observation of one's own mental and or emotional processes. Jamal, can you explain to me what introspection is, according to Oxford's? Just like it says right here, examination or observation of one's own mental or emotional processes. To step aside and watch oh, hey, I'm being influenced by anger. Oh, I'm being influenced by false ego. Oh, this person has wounded my pride because I'm always right. And they're telling me I'm wrong. Oh, geez, that is painful. But if you watch what's happening, you say, oh, this is just the mind. This is just the false ego. Oh, there's that great section in the Bhagavatam. It talks about the Rudra principle. You know, anger after frustration. And he gives all the places that anger, you know, the breathing changes, all those. If someone becomes angry, if someone's upset, physiologically, after your breathing rate and blood pressure reaches a certain point, you cannot hear. You literally cannot. Somebody's chastising you, and once you get to a certain point of agitation, you cannot process what they're saying. It's very far out. So if you say, oh, I'm being influenced by or, oh, this is lust. Oh, I'm out on Sankirtan. Oh, that girl's pretty. Oh, she's interested in a book. Maybe she's interested in me. I'm being, coarse. But that's how the mind works. And if you say, whoa, that's not me. That's just the mind, monkey see, monkey do, going down the path. So we have to be introspective. We have to be able to detach ourselves, look inside, and see what's going on. Otherwise, as it says, Prabhupada says in the purple, we just become increasingly entangled. It's the same old loop. You're like an earworm. What do they call an earworm? You get a song stuck in your head, So it's the same old. Amarenda Prabhu, his son, before he became a lawyer, before Amar's son became a good lawyer actually, like father, like son, he took a course at UCLA, USC, University of Spoiled Children up there in Los Angeles, one of the best film schools in the world. And one thing you take is screenplay. If you're going to make a movie, you got to be able to write screenplays and all that kind of stuff. Do you know that and Shakespeare says the same thing, there's basically about 9 different themes, 6 to 9 themes. Person is successful, person loses, person gains it back. Person wants girl, loses girl, wins girl. Whatever. It's faces adversity, or a person's not a good person, goes through difficulty, and grows and becomes a better person. So there's really only about 5 or 6 themes, and then you just mix them, I've got 1 through 9, so I'll take 1, 3, and 6, and that'll be or 1, 3. There's only so many stories. So it's just the same ride. We'll get to that in a second. So one should be introspective. Oh, wait a minute. I'm on this ride. And I don't like how the story ends. Wait, I've seen this movie before. I've read this book, and I don't like how it ends. That's introspection. So, and we know it's relatively easy to understand we're not this body. Prabhupada at that, I think it was in Australia. He was at that kids' school. Maybe it was in England. I forget. Is it Australia? And Prabhupada, and this, Prabhupada was an expert teacher. Kids, especially 8, 9, 10, they're a little snarky, and they got to, who's this, and they're testing their limits. So they're goofing around. Prabhupada takes the ringleader, the one who's the most, obviously the kid who they're all following and who's not attentive. Prabhupada says, come here, stand here. Prabhupada says, touch your nose, Boita. Touch your ear. Touch, like Simon says, And then Prabhupada says, touch yourself. And the kid's stunned for a minute. And immediately the kids got it. You can hear by the audience, they actually got it. Oh, wait, there's me. It's my hand, my eyes, who is the I that's thinking my? And Prabhupada got them, just captured those kids. It's pretty far out. So in the same way, okay, we're not this body. But what about the mind as we've been describing? What about the intellect? What about the emotions? Oh, this person doesn't like me. Oh, this person doesn't understand me. Or, that's whatever it is. I love that girl. Until you find out she's got some, anyway, that's another story. So we're not that emotion. Wait a minute, that's not me. So there it is. Okay, we're not this body, that we understand. But what about the mind? It's equally as false. I'm not the intellect. I'm not the emotions. I'm not this false ego or pride. It's equally false. So Krishna says in the Gita, the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. Let's say that again. Anyone experience this? Is the mind, materialistic mind, our best friend? Is it calm, pleasing, gentle? Is it our best well-wisher? No. Right here. Restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Maybe you can't see it, but look at the eyes on that horse. Wild horse. Now, people say sometimes, I was peaceful. I was pretty peaceful before I joined the Hare Krishna movement. I didn't have any much emotional tension. I was just, I was a good person, going with the flow. Nothing really bothered me. Mellow. Joined the Hare Krishna movement. I got uptight about so many things. I was feeling all kinds of pressure. What's that all about? Anyone have an answer? If there's a wild horse, and you can see pictures of them, they're grazing, beautiful pasture, flowers, and they're beautiful. Prabhupada said, was driving in Ohio on his way to New Vrindavan from Detroit. Prabhupada asked, what is the most beautiful animal? Anyone know? Devotee said, cow. Prabhupada said, no. Cow is ugly. As far as the material form, they're very sweet, sattvic, all of that. But as far as actually grace and design, they're kind of chunky. They got that udder. But Prabhupada said a horse. Horse is they're all in every culture has any kind of sophistication. Horses are recognized as beautiful animals. So horses sitting there, very beautiful, very peaceful. Wild horse. There are wild horses. You can still, they're still there, ranging around in the Southwest and different places. So very peaceful. You can even go up. Sometimes you can feed them a little something once they develop your trust. Give them a little apple or whatever it is. What happens when you try to sit on that horse? When you try to control it? It becomes wild like this. They'll kill you. So the mind, as long as we don't try to control it, just, we go with the flow and, whatever we're feeling. I love this girl. I love that girl. I'm going to move to Hawaii. I'm going to do this. And so as long as but when you say, no, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to get lusty. I'm not going to get disappointed. No, I'm not doing that. I'm staying here in Krishna consciousness. I'm thinking about my service. The mind snaps. It just goes nuts and it becomes a wild horse. But if you stay with it, Krishna says, by determination, practice, detachment, so many things. So, okay, now we know what the problem is. So, okay, How do we reach that elevated state? What do we do about it? Now, there's many ways that we can approach this, but I wanted to, because I was listening to a tape by Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada says, okay, we know the problems, but what do you do about it? Is it enough to know the problems? You can inventory them. I mean, they do that. Joe Biden just gave his speech, inauguration, gave the inventory of the problems of the nation, and it's a long list. So, okay, is that good enough? Ram, you got a flat tire. We get out, we look at the car, it's a flat tire. Well, there's a flat tire. You're right, Ram, 100%. What do we need to know? Is there a spare? How do we put the spare on? Let's solve the problem. So, okay, fine. We know what the issue is. The mind, the senses, I'm in this body, I'm looking through these gates, the senses are coming in contact with their objects, and I'm becoming entangled, but I'm not becoming happy. Oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be introspective. Well, how in the world do I do that? Give me some practical steps. Otherwise, it's just happy talk or wishful thinking. Okay, Prabhupada says, we hear from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we hear from a particular verse in Shikshastikam. And what is that? Prabhupada said this is the foundational platform for devotional service, understanding this verse from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as confirmation, said we should wear this verse, Trinadapi Sunichena Tororiva Sahishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. If we want Kirtaniya Sadahari, connect the dots, my friends. To become, and why do I want to be absorbed in the holy name, hearing the holy name? We'll get into that in a second. But what are the steps? These are steps. It's not just happy talk. It's actual, practical sutras. If I want to obtain that state of pure Krishna consciousness, how do I do it? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, wear this verse like a garland around your neck. So here we go, just quickly. We should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind. So that's point one. Thinking oneself lower than the straw and street, more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, ready to offer all respects to others, while expecting no respect oneself. So we're going to break those down. Lower than a straw in the street. We're going to go a little fast. What's the time? I need a watch. It's 8:23? Oh, jeez. What to do? Well, maybe we'll fast forward. Thanks, Prabhu. Much appreciated. So, grass, humble position. Everyone's stepping on it. It never complains. The beginning of knowledge, therefore, Prabhupada says in the purport, to what is knowledge, is humility. We've told the story about Tamal Krishna Maharaj when he became the temple commander in Los Angeles. He wasn't the temple president, he wasn't the GBC, he wasn't the treasurer, he was the temple commander. LA was the biggest temple at the time, had about 35 devotees. I think we had a congregation of maybe 100, at the most, mostly Indian. So he was feeling very proud. And he asked Prabhupada what to do. I've got this important position. I'm going to get puffed up. How do I? Prabhupada said, you think like this, that the whole existence is one breath, one exhalation of Vishnu. We've been here for 25 minutes. Bhakti Alex, do you have any idea how many inhalations and exhalations you've had? I mean, it's insignificant. We don't even count them. They're so short. So it's just one breath of Vishnu. Prabhupada says from that breath, so many entire universes. Every universe, so many planets. Every planet, so many continents. Every continent, so many nations. Every nation, so many states. Every state, so many counties. Every county, so many cities. Every city, so many blocks. Every block, so many streets. Every street, so many houses. Every house, so many rooms. And then Prabhupada said, and in one of those rooms is Tamal Krishna Maharaj thinking I'm very important. He was a Brahmachari. Das Brahmachari, I think I'm very important. So let's keep things in perspective. You know, who are we really, and what's our big issue? We have good reason to be humble. If we think of what to speak, if we remember from past lives, if we think of all the foolish, sinful mean-spirited or just boneheaded things we've done in this life and the next, hey, we've got good reason to be humble. The benefits of humility. Well, why do I become humble? Krishna says in the Gita, simple, adverse to fault-finding, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, forgiveness, freedom from envy, and freedom from the passion for honor. This is the state we want to come to. This is how, that state of detachment from the senses and their sense objects, that introspective, wait a minute, this is the state we can come to, which is what we're actually looking for. But it begins with humility. Another quality of humility, the ability to take good advice. It's real, especially in Kali Yuga, to take good advice is really tough. Well, who are you? And, I have my idea, and you don't understand. And, it's just, there's so much baggage that comes with just taking good advice. But tadviti pranipatena, just hear from someone and take some good advice. A willingness to change and grow. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not God's gift to the earth. I'm speaking to myself, don't worry. Maybe I'm not God's gift to the earth. Maybe I would be a better person. I would be happier. I could do more good. Maybe if I can grow, maybe if I can learn. That, if you think you're perfect and got it all under control, then you're not willing to hear. So humility, one's willing to hear, one's willing to change and to grow. Maybe I'll just do one of these and fast forward. So this is the great... I like this analogy, and we've probably heard it before. When you point one finger at somebody, three are pointing back at you. It's a very good point. And I remember being with Niranjana Swami one time in Mayapur, and we were taking a break in the GBC meetings, and this devotee, who will remain nameless, you don't know him, came up and just went off. Niranjana Swami, I have to tell you something. You're temple president in Ukraine. Anyone know Achyuta he's such this man is a jewel. He's in the Ukraine, oversees the temple. We've got how many temples? I don't want to go too far afield. But just a great guy. Goes off on Achyuta, goes off on the temple presidents, goes off on the GBC, goes off on sannyasis, goes off on lazy householders, goes on these, brahmacharis. They're just bachelors. Went off on everybody. I was thinking, this guy is a perfect storm. I said, he's gone off on everything. All the pujaris and deity worship. I said, the only thing he hasn't offended is the cows. I was thinking that. And then he said, and New Vrindavan, and that is cow. I thought, jeez, this guy has hit every single thing, And I was, you may have noticed, I'm a little bit passionate. I was going to wring the guy's neck. But I thought I had the wherewithal. Let me just watch Niranjana Swami. If you know Niranjana, he's such a saintly person. So he was just listening. Finally, the guy ran out of steam. Sometimes you watch Prabhupada would do this sometimes. Sometimes he just cut him short. But sometimes Prabhupada would let him run out of steam. So this guy ran out of steam, right? And I was thinking, all right, what's Niranjana Swami going to say? Which one of these is he going to take first? And Niranjana, instead of going that tact, Niranjana Swami said, I can understand that you are expert at finding fault. He said, I think if you study your own heart, you will find sufficient subject matter. Think about that for a minute. Is that cool or what? I thought, oh man, that's a great answer. And in my saner moments, I try to practice that. Instead, if we're in charge of something, if people are responsible, we have to give them instruction. Don't do it this way, do it that way. That you have to do sometimes, But as a general rule, if you're not responsible for teaching someone, training them, or keeping them on the course, then, hey, I got enough in my own heart to keep me busy, So, there it is. Now, I think we're going to fast forward. I think we'll just finish this lower than straw in the street. So what is the counter? Oh, well, this is low self-esteem. You're just browbeaten, brainwashed. You have no backbone. You have no determination. You're just, okay, fine, sit in the temple and ring the bell. You can't go out and face the world. You know, you don't have the backbone to fight and go out there and get all the gusto you can. All right, fine. At least you're off the street and not on welfare. So you stay there in the temple and ring bells and, you know, and feel bad about yourself. Is that what we're talking about? Raghunath Das Goswami, humility personified. But what was his nature? He was a great poet. So anyway, I don't want to go too far afield, and very clever. This is how he saved his father-in-law and uncle, you know. So, but Prabhupada says there's two. Addressing this point in particular, Ramayana and Mahabharata. These are the two cornerstone histories of Vedic India. The Ramayana, and who's the hero? According to, of course, Ram, Sita, like that. But Prabhupada says, as far as a bhakta, we study the Ramayana, understand what is a bhakta, who's the exemplar in the, yes, Dravida Prabhu, Hanuman. Now, was Hanuman a pushover? Was Hanuman, weak-willed, indecisive, low self-esteem? And Prabhupada says from Mahabharata, we had Pandavas, and the leader of the Pandavas as far as a bhakta. Of course, they're all great devotees, but you have Arjuna. Was Arjuna a milquetoast? A goodwill Willie? No, So there it is. We're not talking, it's again that theme of simultaneously one and different, achinta beta beta tattva, how to be humble and yet to be very strong. That's the great science of bhakti. So, and we have the example of Srila Prabhupada and this fantastic, according to Swavas, the Juhu book is supposed to arrive at the end of the month in LA. I got a pre-order in for you guys, so we'll get some books and pass them around. So, but look at Prabhupada. Did Prabhupada? It will come out in the book in so many more details. But at one point, the devotees were so bewildered, so harassed, that they actually gave the land back. No one would stay. Prabhupada got it back from the belly of the beast, from the attorneys, and Prabhupada said, you can all leave. Fine. It's too hard for you. You want to go preaching in South India. You want to go back to America. You want to do... Fine, you all leave. Prabhupada said, and we'll take the money for the temple, and we'll buy buses, and you can all travel and preach. And Prabhupada said, but get me one chair, and I will sit on this property, and I will not leave. You can all leave, but I will not leave. I promised Radha Rasa Bihari that I'm going to build him a temple, and you help me or don't help me, I'm not leaving. And when Prabhupada said that, how can we leave? So that's what it means to be a devotee. One's humble, but one doesn't give anything to Maya. So I think we'll fast forward, because I don't want to keep... So once again, from straw. If it's useless. You can't even stuff a mattress with it. It's scratchy. But via the medium of a cow, it becomes, Prabhupada said, the miracle food for old men and babies. Liquid religiosity. It becomes milk. So in the same way, that humility transformed by Vaishnava consciousness becomes the most valuable thing, becomes the key to the house of bhakti. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. Well, we're going to fast forward a lot. We'll do this some other time. Just for fun. Pride often leads to offenses without humility. I've got a section about the downside of pride. But I wanted just to get to this. We'll get here at the end, because I don't want to keep you late. What to do? So the mind becomes conquered and the senses become inert. This is the perfection of yoga. What to do? I guess we'll just go the whole way. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that one should beat the mind in the morning with a broomstick and with shoes in the evening, or vice versa. Either one will work. But this is how we should treat the mind. We should beat it in the morning. When you go off for Mangalarti, I don't feel sick, I don't feel, Feel sick, frankly, means if you get up, you fall over or throw up. Then you're sick. Fine. Take care of yourself. But you'll find, generally, I ate too much last night, or I got to bed late. Get up and take a shower. Go to Mangalarti. Try to dance a little bit. And lo and behold, 90% of the time, you'll feel better. So there it is. Don't be. No one likes to be cheated. So you like to be cheated, Bhakti Alex? Nobody likes it. It's a very frustrating emotion. You get. So, but the mind, it's right. The most insidious, like a spy. Works his way. What do they call that? One of those spies that are actually inside. They're a chief. In the State Department or the head of the CIA counterintelligence. It happened with the MI5. The at the time when the British Empire and the UK, their top counterintelligence guy was a Soviet agent. That Alger Hiss, who gave the atomic, so they say whatever it is, when it's an inside person that you trust, and they turn on you and reveal all the secrets, and those secrets are used against you. Oh, it's horrible. Anyone know what the analogy I'm using? Who is that interior conspirator who is turned on us? It's the mind. It's right inside, and we think it's our best friend. We think it's us, and it's completely turned on us and cheating us. So we have to beat it with the mind, with a broomstick and with shoes. So I just wanted to end here. We used to do just 2 stories and we'll be done. Because Prabhupada says the senses and their sense objects coming into contact with the gates of the openings of the body, and we're calling that happiness, but we just become more and more entangled. What is the result? This is the thing. There are 2 categories, short-term benefit and long-term benefit. Anyone know what the word for short-term benefit is? Prayas. Other than Dravida, anyone know what the long-term benefit is? Shreyas. Human form of life is meant to calculate what? Which of those 2? Stimulus response, stimulus response, stimulus response, like Pavlov's dogs. That's how we're living. Got an itch, scratch it. Somebody's got a bigger house, I got to get a better house. I got a faster car, I got to have a better girlfriend, I got to have whatever it is. It's just stimulus response, stimulus. It's just prayas, short-term benefit, again and again and again. And at the end of the day, you got nothing to show for it. Shreyas is long-term benefit. So we used to do, and when we get back to COVID and Sunday feast, we should do this. We used to do these short skits. And I think many of these stories actually come from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But we used to do these short, remember in New York they used to do these, and we used to do them on the street sometimes. People loved it. Like a 5-minute skit. One of the skits is wrong bank account. This guy's a young guy. His father opens him a bank account. He puts his paper route money in it, and he gets a job, doing gardening, working, and all of his life he's putting his money in his bank account. And one day, and he's getting older, the teller's getting older. One day he toddles in. He's in his walker, and this time he's 85 years old, and he goes up to the counter, and his longtime teller friend, not there. There's some young pup. Hey, what do you want, buddy? Old man, what can I do for you? He says, well, where's Sam? What happened to Sam? He said, oh, he croaked, kicked over, right? He was standing right here at the window, keeled right over, The guy's freaked. He realized, wait a minute, I'm saving all my money. What am I saving it for? I'm taking that trip to the Caribbean. He hands his book, takes out all of his money. The guy goes, takes his book check, says, oh, there's no money in this account. Anyone know what happened? There was one number wrong. He was putting all of his money in the wrong bank account. So that's what we're doing. Death will come. Or we've got little penny, paltry, tinsel, tin toys, nothing of substance, and we drop dead. So that's wrong bank account. Here's another one Prabhupada tells. This one's a little graphic. Now, there was a man, a fool, who had a chaste wife. Somehow or other he saw a beautiful prostitute, a courtesan or whatever you want to say, a beautiful prostitute. And he became completely morose because he had no money. So his pious wife said, what's the matter? And Prabhupada said the man was so shameless, he told his chaste wife, well, I want that beautiful woman. I want to spend an evening with her. but I have no money, and therefore everything. The world looks vacant to me. So the pious wife went to the house of the prostitute, and she would show up every day, do the laundry, do the whatever, clean the house. After a few days, the prostitute said, I'm not paying you. Why are you doing this? The wife told the story So the prostitute said, your wife is a fool, but you are very nice. So to please you, tell him to come tomorrow night. So the guy shows up. What they say? Anyway, candy is dandy, flowers have powers, liquor is quicker, whatever. It's an old Navy saying. So he showed up, with candies and flowers, for the, and at the appointed time, she invites him into his house. He says, let's go at it. She says, no, there's an art to these things, So she sits down, some instruments, some musical, this and that. Then they have a nice meal. And every dish, let's say it's a 6-course meal, every course comes in 3 bowls. Same prep. Salad in a gold bowl, silver bowl, copper bowl. Then sabji or soup comes, gold bowl, silver bowl, copper bowl. Every prep in 3 different bowls. After his dessert, gets nice mango kofta ice cream or something with a gulab jamun next to it in gold bowl, silver bowl, copper bowl. So now she says, okay, let's have at it. Now, we've followed the art of kama. So what to do? So he says, okay, great. I just have a question. I have one question for you. Why did you serve every dish in 3 different bowls? She asked him. Anyone know what she asked him other than Dravida and Vijay? What did she ask him? Did it taste any different in the gold bowl, copper bowl, or silver bowl? He said, no. What did the prostitute say? Go home, you fool. What? What's the purport? Anyone know the purport? No? What's that? It's the same thing. Whether you're a rabbit, or whether you're a rickshaw walla, or whether you're Hugh Hefner, who's now a rabbit in Arizona, you can be sure of that. So it's the same thing. But we're chasing after it, that taste. Senses, sense object, short-term benefit, led by the mind. So this is the cycle. We have to be introspective and break this cycle. And then we'll actually become happy. So we can end there. Wait, I think I have one more picture. So this is the path to the perfection of the yoga, chanting in a humble state of mind. Okay? Thank you very much, Prabhus. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Sorry we went a little bit over. And thanks to